Here I am taking the opportunity to thank Leader of Opposition Devendra Fadnavis sir, State President MLA Chandrakant Dada Patil sir, MP Pune Girish Bapat ji sir, MLA Lakshman Bhau Jagtap sir, City President MLA Mahesh Dada Lange sir, and my special thanks to State President Economic Cell Bharatiya Janata Party Milinji Kanade sir for providing me this opportunity to conduct this event. And all my gratitude towards each and every individual who helped me making this event successful. Thank you all. Thanks.
Good morning all. I am Sanjeevani Pandey, President Economic Cell, Bharatiya Janata Party, Pimpri Chinchwad Shahar, Pune, Maharashtra. As you all know, today is the 5th September, Teachers Day. We celebrate Teachers Day in the honor of birth ceremony of Honorable Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan sir, who was first Vice President of India and second President of India. Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan sir was a professor of philosophy in Mysore and Calcutta University. He also served as a professor in the University of Oxford. उन्होंने हमेशा हिंदुज़ियम को प्रमोट किया है और रिप्रेजेंट किया है इंडिया के तौर पे वेस्टर्न रीजन में भी, वेस्ट रीजन में भी। तो वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज के बीच में और इंडिया के बीच में एज ए ब्रिज वो हमेशा हिंदुज़ियम के लिए माने जाते हैं। उनका कहना था टीचर्स मस्ट हैव द बेस्ट माइंडसेट एंड वी टीचर are very much proud to have such a great academician, scholar of the 20th century. We are also fortunate today because we will be interacting his direct grandson, Dr. Honorable Subramaniam Sharma, on this auspicious day. Honorable Dr. Subramaniam Sharma is MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He has completed his PhD in economics from Harvard University and second PhD in company law from the same Harvard University. Honorable sir, सुदीक्षा ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज रन करते हैं जिसके तहत मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट, फार्मास्यूटिकल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, रिटेल, हेल्थ केयर, एनर्जी, आईटी सेक्टर, इस तरह के कई ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज के वो डायरेक्टली ओन और रन करते हैं। दिस वे ही ओन एंड रन एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर around 18 companies and indirectly he runs around 600 companies. Thus, around nearby 20,000 manpower working under him. 20,000 से ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉयज आपकी कंपनी में रिक्रूटेड हैं। आप नीलकांत सम्मान से अवॉर्डेड हैं, सम्मानित हैं और आज हम बहुत भाग्यशाली और गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहे हैं कि आपके ग्रैंडफादर डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन सर के बर्थडे के दिन, टीचर्स डे के सेलिब्रेशन के दिन आज हम आपसे रूबरू हो पा रहे हैं। तो शुरुआत इसी से करते हैं। सर, थोड़ी कोई छोटी सी उनकी याद आप हमारे साथ शेयर करेंगे तो बहुत अच्छी आज के इंटरव्यू की शुरुआत हो जाएगी।
नमस्ते, and it's my privilege and honor that I represent Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishna's family in wishing each and every Indian, each and every people across the world a very, very happy Teachers' Day. It is also very nice to share a lot of memories of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. It is always good that when we have been discussing about a legendary philosopher, the ancient and the present day history which a country has seen, a philosopher, an educationist, a teacher who lived one of the best of the lives in this country. One among the last grandchildren of the era where we have seen Dr. Radhakrishnan, we all lived personally on the memories of a legend, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. One of the memories when you see people, his students who carried him when he got elected as a president in the Mysore. You hear the story where every student carried him in a palanquin to the railway station. You can see when he was traveling after becoming president, when he has come back to the native place of Chennai, he has spotted his teacher standing near a tree. He got down and went there to greet him. Such is the simplicity of this great man. Whenever I go and travel today across the globe, people carry the name and they share a story about this.
Honorable Sir, God has favored you with one more fortune, that your other grandfather was Dr. V. Giri, वराहगिरी वेंकटागिरी, जो चौथे प्रेसिडेंट राष्ट्रपति रहे हैं भारतवर्ष के। आप उनके भी ग्रैंडसन हो। भारत रत्न रेसिपेंट डॉक्टर वी गिरी हैज साइंड 2 डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो आज भी इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स एंड इकोनॉमिक्स को शेप अप करता है। पहला था शिमला एग्रीमेंट और दूसरा बिल ऑफ नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ बैंक। ये बहुत ही बड़ा रेवोल्यूशनरी स्टेप था, बैंकों का राष्ट्रीयकरण। ये आपके ग्रैंडफादर डॉक्टर वी गिरी, जो चौथे राष्ट्रपति थे भारतवर्ष के, उन्होंने सैंक्शन किया था। हम बहुत भाग्यशाली रहेंगे अगर आप उनकी भी कोई छोटी सी याद हमारे साथ शेयर करें।
Talking about the next president of India, Sri V. Giri, incidentally being from the same family also. Landmark judgments, landmark agreements have been signed during this period. Yes, of course, Shimla Agreement, the Nationalism Bank. India started moving towards globalization. India started moving towards centralization during the era where there was a time where we are shaping up, during the time where we are from a post-British rule. Sir V. Giri was there to see that these are the nationalized banks has to be done. As far as the country, when you are talking about the relevance of Sri V. Giri in this context, it's also been told that banks were in a very infantile stage. When V. Giri also shaped up by nationalizing banks, talking about the ancient banks, started controlled by the erstwhile kings and maharajas. When the banks were united, the first time we are taught about economy in the country, the rupee valuation, the discipline of the money, the supply chain, these are the process where it started during this period. Instantly, Sir V. Giri ji was also there as a grandfather. I have very, very fond memories when I met him. A long time was there. When I was a very much kid, I used to play with him, seen him, how simple he was. Such a large family, such a humble personality. Grew with him, grown in a families where such a legendary person who was also a freedom fighter, who was also a politician, who also succeeded himself from a very, very humble beginning to take the topmost post of President of India. Talking about Shimla Agreement and the nationalism of banks, that was a landmark judgment has to be done in the post-Republican era where India was started moving into a greater economy, where we started understanding how the economy should be growing. With an experience with V. Giriji, V. Giriji was very fond of playing with children, very, very fond of giving a lot of independence to children, have gone into the garden city where he came to Bangalore. We are all been with him, playing with him, seeing him growing was an inspiration to us. But he was a too young a child to see him do this.
Continuing the same thread of brilliancy and being Harvard University's expert economist, we would like to clear certain of our financial doubts in this current scenario of COVID-19, sir. My first question to you, in your opinion, will Make in India campaign of Government of India make positive impact on Indian economy, sir?
See, Make in India campaign is one of the best decisions to be taken in the present era, where the sectors which has been reeling under things that way we were being more of imports, not optimum utilization of the resources available. The confidence of the industrial era has been completely doomed down. In this era of period where industrialization has grown in the 90s, the later 90s, we have seen India has been unfolding into the various concepts of economy. Make in India brought in a concept wherein the person who is growing can get a market. A marketplace was created globally. Post globalization, Make in India campaign became more irrelevant today. The reason is the produce what we are trying to produce in the country, we are also getting the best price in the global markets. We have a greater market across the globe. Make in India, India campaign has given a smaller sectors, a cottage industry, a mediocre MSMEs, micro companies, and middle-sized management companies, large-sized companies to start producing more. Eventually, this has given us to find an invention, trying to create jobs, trying to get more tie-ups globally, trying to see that India become a destination wherein world started believing India as a destination for their investments. Make in India concept has given FDIs, global people to look forward for Indian production, Indian products, Indianization, and of course every product of it, every person who produce the products has to can market globally. The productions what we are doing, we were mostly, India is an agricultural economy. Talking about an agricultural economy, we were also depending on the other resources like water, other manufacturing like manures, fertilizers, and other things. Beyond an agricultural economy, when we want to grow to the other industry of manufacturing, we were also depending on defense production globally for imports. Today, India has been given a bigger threshold in Make in India campaign to produce defense products, defense items to sell globally. This has also given opportunity for us to raise more money. By this way, the gross domestic production has increased. The inflation was kept under rampant. This has enabled one of the secondary source of creating employment. It also helped a lot of people to become an entrepreneurs. People who are searching for jobs have started becoming entrepreneurs. The capitalist rule has gone. People have started looking into money as an economy to grow. We are talking about this as a business concept. Make in India campaign also have given the concept that we are Indians, and this has also given the confidence that we can also produce, create larger perspective. Make in India campaign also helped us to scale today to go to Chandrayaan, to go to Mangalyaan. These are the things which we can do. We are boast of taking over the other planets too. Make in India campaign also has helped Government of India to have a very, very positive impact that every person has started looking into GDP as a main threshold to increase the contribution towards the global economy. When this Make in India campaign, we were also watching that the smaller sector like micro, small, medium enterprises were there to be there. We are also looking forward for a software projects to start up in this country. We have started creating apps to the people globally. So this makes us that Make in India has given us a confidence, created economy. Also Make in India also made sure that the products what we have produced had a greater market globally, and of course world started looking forward India as a investment destination, which had a greater impact on our economy.
Sir, demonetization approached India as a real pathbreaker for a political economy of India. Eventually it worked out that the most evident intent was to convert the informal economy into the formal economy. Is it successful? And what challenges it threw towards Indian economy?
See, the generationally when we see that constantly the government started changing, there was a clear cut of impact on the Indian economy only. One of the biggest thing which we have seen was a strong decision to demonetize smaller currencies. For example, we are talking about 500 rupees currencies and 1000 rupees currencies. To devalue to himself, demonetization started. The origin of demonetization was to make sure a digital economy starts coming in. We are trying to make every rupee accountable. This was a very, very tough decision by the government, which has come newly to see that they want to form a corruption-free management in the terms of financial deliberations. But demonetization has given us some naked truth. Demonetization brought in that we are not 100% organized in banking sector. We still had that globally the banks which have been talking about the nationalized banks or organized sectors, the foreign banks which has come into the picture, thinking that all the money has been coming back. The naked truth which has come out of the demonetization was that our sectors are not organized. The cooperative sectors which has come very strongly during that period of time has told that we are still not moving towards digitalization. We still are in the ancient primitive way of accountings. We still not able to regularize the money transactions thing. The objective is that we want to make sure a formal economy should start. The drive was good, the effort was there, execution was there. The problem came up was that the sectors was very wide. There was an untold economy which was parallel economy which was running. To bring it to accounting, we started getting the zero balance accounts, trying to bring in the money to come in. So demonetization has given us an opportunity to understand the limitations what was existing in our basic of operations of banking. This has thrown us a big challenge. As far the government of India is concerned, the Reserve Bank of India is concerned, that there was a need for 100% regularization of all the sector banks. Maybe a district level banks, cooperative banks, nationalized banks, private banks, and of course non-banking financial corporations. Demonetization also brought in a strong regulation, need of regulation to see that all the sectors are going to be forming it. The decision was very strong, very great, and very strongly executed against the populist demand, but very fastly done. From a very, very close sector where the country is also moving towards GST, demonetization was a very strong decision, pulling everybody into it. It was partially successful in terms of converting the money which were all in informal economy to the mainstream funding, mainstream digitalization. But a lot of truth came out that it should be organized. Government of India has planned a long regulation, and from there on now we are moving towards developing a greater economy. And of course, if you say it's definitely the path of a greater economy for a formal economy, so we say that demonetization was definitely a successful on the road to recovery to form a greater and a formal economy.
Sir, what do you think? The Atmanirbhar package will boost the Indian economy and Indians towards self-reliance?
Yeah, one of the toughest pandemic situation has come and stricken the country. The pandemic, COVID-19, which has definitely instilled the fear of the survival. The survival of the country, survival of the people, survival of the industries, survival of the economics, and globally our world was shaken. We are reeling under the tremendous pandemic which has stricken from nowhere in blue. All the while the developing nations, the developing things are happening across the globe. The budgeting happened. The fantastic budget happened very, very early in this year. Of course, the implementation started. The new government which has taken has looked into shaping up a greater from a lower GDP to a higher GDP. The challenges were very high for the present government to do. Of course, the pandemic which has destabilized, derailed or stopped the entire country and put into a darkness. During this program, every government sitting in the center or any place, the government regulated bodies, the Reserve Bank of India had a greater challenge and a greater things to happen for them. Reserve Bank of India has to do what at this stage? People were being indoors, people are not able to come back, their businesses houses were shut, we are all forced to go into lockdown. The Atmanirbhar package was forced to be developed. What was the base of the package? The government has to take care of the employees, the laborers, the hardworking people, the micro and small business enterprises, or the exports are going to be there. What we are also giving huge amount to do the selection of the money what we are going to do. The decision of Atmanirbhar package was a very big decision. The money was very strong. The amount what you have been speaking, where we are going to talk about 136 crore people, out of which 11% is the entrepreneurship who have been looking forward for some sort of survival. Everybody is reeling under the strongest deflection of the GDP. When the country is going towards a stronger GDP, COVID-19 has struck it. Atmanirbhar package has come as a blessing in disguise. People who are not able to pay their taxes, people who are not able to pay their EMIs, people who are not able to support the nation, people had an ambitious plan, expansion plan, lot of employees, they need to hold the fort. Every employee has to be taken care. Every laborers have to be taken care. The companies which are there, the contractual employees, the organizations, the sector of MSME, everybody had a challenge how to go about. Atmanirbhar package has given you the confidence that you can do much better. Atmanirbhar is all about giving you confidence of what you can do. So government has instilled a greater package which helping every entrepreneur to be confident enough that you are all going to move towards a recovery package. This is helping not only the healthcare sector, which also needs an entire country's attention, but also the countries which is also depending on every small and medium enterprises. They have changed the definition of MSME. They give an opportunity for every MSMEs to avail the facilities. The bankers have been told to be very aggressive in lending, and the Nirmal package, what they are speaking about, helping every entrepreneur to start the recovery to building a greater economy. This is the only way any government can support a company or a group of industries in all the sectors to grow, to contribute, to sustain any pandemic loss for the loss of such a larger COVID-19 package where we are still under the lockdown 4. When we are coming out of this entire pandemic, each group of companies, the employees, everybody are confident they can be there to move towards the third quarter in a better way with a better confidence. This gives this package a confidence towards the government and the people, how they can move forward in terms of moving towards the path of recovery.
What will be the impact of COVID-19 on informal sector and the small entrepreneurs of India?
COVID-19 had very strong impact on smaller entrepreneurs. Lot of people are under fear, threat, anger, immediate attention. COVID-19 has also given that each person has to help the other fellow individuals. So in this picture, small entrepreneurs who are all there, but definitely Indian economy or Indian entrepreneurs were all very conservative in their approach, in their lookout, in their attitude towards the expansion plans. Who had a plan, who want to expand, has slowed down. But it's not going to definitely affect us on a larger package because we have a government is very strongly helping each small entrepreneurs to sustain it. Given them packages that they can delay their taxing, they can delay their filing, they can help them to restructure the organization. They're given time for every entrepreneurs to sit down and look for a better expansion plan. So this also has thrown off that the impact has given employees an opportunity to go back. And people who are working, as some sectors, yes, of course, a lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of money flowing has been stopped. They were looking forward what they can do in the coming days for them. But one thing came into it, that we can also be conservative. We can also look forward to better things in a very, very small things. In a crisis hit by the country, both physically and mentally. COVID-19 was also given the sectors for a smaller entrepreneurs a bigger challenges in terms of settling down during adversities. This has helped every entrepreneurs to look back into their dashboards, plan their future in a very, very conservative outlook. Yes, of course, it has affected them on a daily basis. They're not able to get their customers intact. They're not able to do their plans intact. The production has stopped. Everybody is concentrating on that. So no exports are happening. We are not able to raise investments to the country because across the globe, COVID-19 has impact. The people of the smaller sectors are the little bit most widely affected. The reason is they are struggling for their working capital requirements. Their capital expenditure are being taken either by a debt, and the debt has to be serviced. Even though Atmanirbhar has given them a confidence that debt can be restructured, debt restructuring is happening, but the business has taken a hit. The people who are looking forward for the business are crawled back from that. Now, post this entire scenario, India is moving towards the better thing is that we have come out of this type of a scenario very fast. People have opened out now, slowly moving towards the lockdown, getting de-lockdown to get a better outlook for the country to look forward. Yes, exports are going to be hit in a big way, but small entrepreneurs, I think that more or less they're getting into the back again, into the action in the coming months to come. But this year, 2020 has become a little slowdown for them. I think looking forward for a greater 2021 for every entrepreneur, for the making of it. Government of India is helping them to reshape their money requirements, helping by themselves, by the banks and other non-banking finance corporation.
Now, related to women, what role women play in Indian economy?
This is a country we have seen the largest bank of the country, the world's number 2 bank, State Bank of India, is headed by a woman. Largest private sector is headed by a woman. Women have moved forward right from a smaller sector to a larger sector, mid-sized sector. Today we see women playing active role in building their own products, in marketing their products, in also working towards it. Today 30 to 32% of the women have started moving towards their employment. They are also looking forward to start their own business. Initially started as a cottage industry, women started becoming self-entrepreneur groups, forming from a self-help groups to a larger participation in terms of setting up of private limited companies, also participating in terms of setting up larger sector companies also today. Women personally, right from the beginning from a cottage industry, they were being a force to reckon with on contribution to the economy. Both as a housewife, she's been conservating the money in helping the economy to grow. A proper management of household expenses was being managed by the woman. And woman from there, she has moved that what I can contribute to the family of 3 or 4, the women have decided that I will also go outside and start working. Today they are playing a vital role in helping that. The major contribution for the woman in terms of every sector, the employability, the hard work, that conventional brand of that they're working on the minimum hours have changed. People have started moving towards more so women in terms of getting themselves adjusted to any situation. They're also been part of building different brands. They're also part of working in a companies, working in banks, even in defense today. They are working towards every part of it in building the GDP of the nation. Women is playing a very vital role, not only earlier as a backseat, helping the families. Today they are taken front hand, moving towards a generation wherein they are always completely involved in the process of nation building. The economy is also playing a vital role. Earlier in the ancient history, where only the head of the family is to work. Today everybody in the family is working. The husband and wife is working. Woman is playing a vital role. Not only managing the family, she is going out and working, building the companies. Woman is also today started on their own. Government of India is helping them to start their own. The women schemes are helping them more to become greater entrepreneurs. From the thought process of an MSME, they are also moving towards a greater economy. I can say the woman as a teacher, woman as an employee, woman as an entrepreneur, woman as a medium and small scale entrepreneur to a larger entrepreneur. They've been leading in front to build a larger economy for the country. Woman per se has contributed completely in terms of helping the nation to come up and build. And we should be proud. Today our finance minister is also a woman who is putting round the clock service, helping them to restructure the package. And such a worst pandemic happened in this world, and the finance minister is leading from the front to set up the packages completely, helping every sector, not only one sector, overall to build the nation back, the country which has been devastated, to the normal path of recovery in such a very, very short span of time.
Now last, considering poverty, pollution, reservation system and current education system, is India really developing?
In any country, the biggest problem we are going to face is population. Population in turn digress themselves into poverty, and poverty also gets into the lot of the need-based arrangements have been done. Over a period of a time, we are come to an era where we are also getting into reservation systems. Education system has become the need of the hour. Today, India is definitely developing. The reason so, as the population is growing, the need has become very more, the necessities has become more, the idea of growing has become more, and everybody wanted to be a contributing factor. When this saying that our literacy have improved quite drastically, people from the villages are also trying to get educated. The literacy programs are helping them to become educated youth. The reservation systems, even though it has been age old for the Freedom India to come in, to accommodate even poverty driven children to get the best out of it, everybody is contributing their might in terms of moving away from reservation, because competition has become very, very high. However, the biggest challenge today is that the population is coming up to 136 to 140 crores, massively growing in the country wherein such a big, large sum of people are growing on a pace. The challenges like COVID-19 is coming up, but we are also contributing. The GDP has started moving towards it. Because of COVID-19, there is a setback in GDP, but everybody is contributing. From a poverty based on the number of people, poverty always that ratio keeps changing. But the population which was in poverty has started moving towards middle class families, upper middle class families are there. Reservation system was mandatory during pre-independence era and post-independence era. This is the biggest challenge. In 70 years of independence, we are moving towards a universal system and single policy code for every Indian citizen born in this country. So reservation is going to slowly move on, but it will not happen immediately. But the need of education has started at every level. India is moving towards Digital India, Make in India, Atmanirbhar. People are moving towards a greater personal, self-confident individual citizens in this country. In such a large population is going, pollution is always a threat. Right? Greenhouse effect is also a threat. But we are also trying to see that consciously, right, Swachh Bharat have started moving in. The governments have started constantly working towards giving the conscious knowledge to each individual that citizens should move towards, right, clean up Swachh Bharat. People have to also consciously come that they all should get education. The new education policy have started coming in, giving them the options to every child to get education. The right to education is there. Education has started moving in. Poverty is started getting addressed. Pollution is a bigger effect. As the population moves in any country, pollution is always a challenge for anybody. But noting all, overall, India is moving from an underdeveloped to a developing country. More so in the coming year or so, or the later part of it, the decade and century, we are going to be the force to reckon with globally as the developed country, because we have scaling skies, we are going towards space, we have touched the Mars in the first attempt, we are going towards moon, we are also trying to put in Chandrayaan back again with a man-manned machine. And India is developing in terms of education. We are contributing across the globe for the people to grow. We are contributing to the world economy. We are sending people across the globe. People are traveling, migrants are happening, knowledge is coming up, and globally, Indians are taking larger seats in handling bigger companies. The top 10 companies in the world is handled by Indians. This gives us a very positive confidence that India is moving towards greater developing country into a G8 countries. Once again, thanking everyone for for giving this opportunity. I wish everyone, including I join the entire family and the nation to wish every child a happy Teachers' Day, thanking every teacher who is contributing to the nation building. A very, very thankful Teachers' Day to one and all. Giving this, that Dr. Radhakrishnan believes in that education is one thing which moves forward, and that is to be disseminated by, assimilated and disseminated by the student when you have a great teacher. We all have teachers on a daily basis. I request each and everyone to them that Teachers' Day should be celebrated every day. Needless to say, on September 5th, in memory of such a great legend, because we are getting learned, we are student all our life. Thanks all, and happy Teachers' Day to the entire country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a wonderful discussion, and I'm fairly convinced that any good initiative with proper implementation have a good results. Thank you all. It was indeed. Thanks all for watching. And how do you find it? Do let us know. Thank you.